As midnight struck in Taipei, sirens blared and tension filled the air. Fighter jets scrambled from air bases as news broke of a major military incursion across the Taiwan Strait. Social media lit up with videos of warships shadowing each other in choppy waters. In Washington and Tokyo, leaders met urgently as the Pentagon tracked missile launches. The threat of open conflict over Taiwan was no longer abstract. Was it time for a united Asian alliance, or would that only raise the stakes? The phrase Asian NATO is making headlines. Leaders and analysts now ask, is it time for a strong defense alliance in Asia, like NATO in Europe? Recent events have made this debate urgent. Some say only a formal alliance can deter aggression, especially from a rising China. Others worry it could escalate tensions or prove unsustainable. With Asia's economic importance, the stakes are sky high. In 1954, the United States and partners founded SEATO, aiming to contain communism in Asia. But the alliance was never as tight as NATO. Most members weren't even in Southeast Asia, and many Asian countries refused to join. SEATO struggled with vague commitments and lack of unity. When crises like the Vietnam War came, it failed to act decisively. By 1977, SEATO quietly dissolved, showing how hard alliances in Asia are to build and keep. Today's Indo-Pacific is a region transformed, but also deeply unsettled. Taiwan sits at the center of a dangerous rivalry. Since 2022, Chinese military activity near Taiwan has surged. Warships and jets test boundaries almost daily. Threats of reunification by force are more open than ever before. The South China Sea is another flashpoint. China has built artificial islands, militarized them, and claimed vast waters also sought by Vietnam, the Philippines, and others. Friction is constant. In the East China Sea, Japan and China spar over the Senkaku or Diaoyu Islands. North Korea continues its missile tests, keeping South Korea and Japan on edge. Meanwhile, the United States insists on freedom of navigation and deepens its presence. Australia feels the pressure to choose sides. ASEAN, the regional bloc, tries to keep dialogue alive but struggles to resolve disputes. The risks of accident or miscalculation are real and rising. In this landscape, the question of collective security, of a united front against threats, has never seemed more urgent. Asian governments are recalculating in response to rising threats. Japan is boosting its defense budget and rewriting security laws, naming China as its greatest challenge. South Korea is investing in missile defenses and deepening ties with the US and Japan. Australia signed the AUKUS Pact to build nuclear-powered submarines with the US and UK. The US is central, reinforcing bases, conducting joint exercises, and pledging to defend partners. The idea of an Asian NATO is simple on paper. Like its European counterpart, it would be an alliance where an attack on one member is treated as an attack on all. Its members could include the US, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and possibly India, the Philippines, and others concerned by China's rise. Such a pact would not just share intelligence or conduct joint drills. It would promise real military support in a crisis. The goal? To deter aggression by showing any attack would trigger a powerful, united response. Some versions even propose a standing command structure and permanent headquarters. Supporters say this would close gaps left by today's web of bilateral and mini-lateral deals. It would make red lines clear. No more ambiguity. Potential aggressors would know Asia's democracies stand together. But the path is far from simple. Each country faces different threats, has different histories, and, in some cases, still mistrusts its neighbors. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was born in the ruins of World War II. It united Western Europe and the United States against the Soviet threat. Over decades, it grew stronger, adapting to new challenges. The alliance's Article 5, a mutual defense pledge, proved powerful. Deterrence worked. No NATO member was ever attacked. Could an Asian NATO do the same? The challenges are stark. Europe had a shared sense of identity and a clear, singular threat. Asia is more diverse, ethnically, politically, and historically. Old wounds run deep. Japan's wartime actions still cause anger in South Korea and China. India and China have long-standing border disputes. NATO's success also depended on American leadership and deep trust among its members. In Asia, America's role is more contested. Some nations want U.S. protection. Others fear being drawn into Washington's rivalries. There are also questions about who would pay for new defenses. Learning from NATO, Asia must weigh whether unity can be built on so many differences, or if it would falter in a real crisis. Talk of an Asian NATO quickly runs into obstacles. First, many Asian countries still carry bitter memories of colonialism and conflict. Trust is fragile. Japan's past actions in World War II remain a source of tension with neighbors. South Korea and Japan, both U.S. allies, often quarrel over history and trade. Second, not all countries see China the same way. Some, like Vietnam and India, see a threat. Others, like Cambodia or Thailand, prefer not to take sides. Economic ties with China run deep. Few want to risk trade wars or retaliation. ASEAN, the grouping of Southeast Asian nations, fears being squeezed between rival blocs. Third, politics at home complicate alliance plans. Some governments fear public backlash if they join a military pact. Others worry about becoming targets themselves. Smaller states want security, but also autonomy. These divisions make building a new alliance difficult. Without trust and shared goals, even the best treaties can crumble. What could an Asian NATO actually achieve? Supporters say it would strengthen deterrence, reassure nervous allies, and send a clear message to potential aggressors. Joint planning, shared intelligence, and coordinated defense spending could make Asia safer, just as NATO did for Europe. But there are serious risks. A new alliance might provoke China, leading to an arms race or even preemptive action. It could divide the region, forcing countries to pick sides. Some fear it would create a self-fulfilling prophecy, turning rivalry into open hostility. Others warn that a failed alliance, unable to act in crisis, would damage credibility and trust. There are also questions of commitment. Would all members really stand together if war came? Or would divisions re-emerge at the worst moment? The costs, both economic and political, could be immense. The stakes could not be higher. The region's future, war or peace, may depend on how these questions are answered. Asia stands at a crossroads. The threats are real, the challenge is immense. Some argue only a bold new alliance, an Asian NATO, can keep the peace. Others warn it could unleash new dangers or prove impossible to sustain. The failures of SEATO, the complexities of the region, and the lessons from NATO all weigh heavily. In the end, there is no simple answer. More cooperation is clearly needed, but unity must be built carefully, step by step. Trust between nations, respect for history, and creative diplomacy matter as much as new treaties. The best path may mix old alliances, new partnerships, and constant dialogue. The future of Asian security will not be decided by headlines alone. It depends on choices made now, in capitals from Tokyo to Canberra, Seoul to Washington. Is it time for an Asian NATO? The question remains open. The world is watching, hoping those choices lead to peace, not conflict.